Welcome back. On this issue, we have with us live over the phone Dr. Magdy Allam. He's an advisor to the Global Climate Program and Environmental Facility. Good morning, Dr. Allam.
Morning.
How are you doing, sir? What are the most important sessions and topics that were tackled in the Middle East and North Africa Climate Week that was attended by Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry?
It's actually a share of the Egyptian government in the African and in also the other 5 regions all over the world, how to coordinate together to apply the GHG reduction or the greenhouse gas reduction, which is actually the main topic that all of the climate change and the COP all over the world are focusing to have some approaches to reduce the greenhouse gases, which is actually the main negative impact all over the sustainable development. Because we know all of us that there is a signatory of all the countries on the sustainable development strategy of the 17 topics of the sustainable development strategy. And this strategy is focusing to transfer from what's called the black economy to green economy. The black economy, of course, is composing of all the emissions of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide and also another CH4 or what's called as the emissions of the biogas, which is adding for the negative impact on the climate change. And also the Sustainable Development Strategy approved the signatory by all the counterparts, either in Riyadh or in Emirates. The Riyadh meeting actually is composing of the coordination between the 5 continents all over the world, how to reduce the GHG, how to find some resources for economy to support the climate resilience, as far as the climate resilience is the main approach to reduce the what's called the black economy. Nowadays, after the Riyadh meeting, there is a strategy of reduction of those greenhouses, and also every country all over the world are revisit their national strategy of the climate change for applying a sustainable economy and also for reduction of the greenhouse gases and also the new and renewable energy. As far as Egypt already started some of the solar panels, and actually we have in Aswan the biggest solar panel in this area, and also we have all over the coast of the Suez Gulf up to 100 kilometers, a lot of the wind energy. And also we are now recycling our waste, especially the agriculture waste, not to burn it and to stop this burning and to transfer it into biomass and biogas. Nowadays we have more than 85 units of biogas being used by the ladies farmers all over the villages of Egypt as a model that we can recycle the waste, is not to burn it, because we are now applying what's called the 3R and then 4R to reduce the emissions and to reuse the waste again and to recycle those waste, so also recovery the waste, so not to burn it but actually to recycle it. So this is, we call it the green economy. This is a green economy like we have nowadays also the usage of blue and green gases in the Suez Canal economy side, that there is already 3 contracts between the Egyptian government and those big companies of greenhouses now to transfer our strategy, the national strategy of Egypt, actually including the reduction of those greenhouses and also including the control of the losses. No more losses, because the losses will be another material that we can use not only to use as a fuel, but also made to be used also for the solar energy as a thermal power. Instead of using the coal and the petrol, and we all, the experts know that there is a gradual reduction of depending of the energy only on petrol or coal, but transfer this to the solar and wind energy, and also maybe the waterfalls as we have in high dam. And of course, in our high dam, there is a big and a good module of clean technology of solar energy also. But the resilience of the climate change is important as to mitigate the emissions, to reduce gradually. Even we agree as experts that we can have maybe up to 10 or 15 years to reduce of the, actually get rid of the fossil fuel like petrol and the coal. The petrol and the coal are the main sources of greenhouse gas, and we have also six parameters, six elements to increase what's called the greenhouse gas impact and increasing the temperature of the surface of the land. This is actually very negative because the increasing of the surface of the land is depending on the infrared rays. The infrared rays are making more heating for the surface of the earth, so not to stop what's called the greenhouse gases, but also to reduce till we eradicate the greenhouse gases also. The resilience of adaptation and the mitigation plan of Egypt is one of the best plans all over the world that depending on protection of the natural resources, the ecosystems actually to be adapted with the climate impact, and also preserving the resources of the country, as we have, for example, our Nile River starting from the south till the Mediterranean coast, but also on the Mediterranean coast, we apply, and the Egyptian government already invest up to $750 million to protect the coastal zone among the Delta region between the Rosetta and the Mietta branches of the Nile River, and also to stop any of the overflooding of the saline water of the sea to invade more of the Delta region, because we have in Delta region actually one of the most agriculture productive area for the food security of the Egyptian population. So the government of Egypt already invested up to $750 million to protect the coast between Rosetta and the Mietta, which is actually one of the best modules all over the world, how we have a climate resilience and the climate adaptation. Actually, the 7 layers of the greenhouses, the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, the thermosphere, and also the exosphere, because those 7 layers of the air itself, 7 layers are affecting the increasing of temperature of the surface of the earth, and which is actually inducing more of the negative impact of the thermal increasing the temperature of the surface. So nowadays there is what's called the green plan of Egyptian government, and this green plan also including the green economy. And also there is allocation through the MSMEDA, which is replacing the social fund, the ex-social fund in Egypt nowadays. These funds are applying more small grants and small loans for the young people also to have their small farms. And they have nowadays the recycling of the waste, even of the animal production, also not to get rid of all the resources dramatically, because the negative of desertification of our land, eroding more of those lands, maybe in the marginal area like in Aswan and in Komombo and Edfu, we are suffering that the sand dunes are covering some of areas of our agriculture areas to be covered by the sand. So nowadays we have green belts also to protect our agriculture area in Edfu and the Komombo especially, which actually suffering from the drought and desertification and increasing of temperature as negative impacts of the climate change. But nowadays the government of Egypt is investing up to $1.2 million in banking of the canals to protect the saving of the water not to be lost among the non-banking canals of the Nile River tributaries. And then there is also the green plan for the building itself. We have, if you are looking, and all of us showing some of those good modules of housing. Now we have green housing, especially in the 27 new cities. Those greenhouses, depending on giving an area in the same compound up to 30% at least to be green area. Just the vegetation, actually trees, and they'll give us all more oxygen and absorption of more carbon dioxide. So those approach of the green housing is a new approach all over the world, but actually Egypt started to apply this in the 27 new cities all over the country, starting from Aswan till the Mediterranean coast itself. Also, the knowledge itself and the awareness for the new generations in housing and faculties and universities, and starting from the primary school till the university graduation, there is actually an economy and also a climatology curriculum to be learned by our students all over those phases of learning, to know that there is green economy rather than the black and the brown economy, because you are naming the black economy, which is the most actually fossil fuel and the petroleum production. We are replacing this by the new and renewable energy sources like the solar panel. We apply up to now 350 units of solar panels in Aswan to replace the traditional pumps of water that's giving or transferring the water from the canals to the farms. Nowadays we have a design for at least 20 dams per unit between 4 farmers. They are using one machine of irrigation for the 20 dam, and this is actually a new module that the Minister of Agriculture of Egypt are applying it as adaptation technologies and also increasing the production. Nowadays also we are cultivating not only one crop but 2 crops, and nowadays we have 3 crops to be cultivated in the same farm, because we have, for example, the maize, and then we have the trees of the palm trees, and we have also another fruit trees. So we are now exporting to the world outside of Egypt up to $1.9 million to be actually an earning and increasing the income of the foreign currency for the Egyptian government.
Right. The participation of Egypt in the MENA Climate Week comes as an affirmation, of course, of the successive steps that were taken by the state to advance the climate action and enhance development and green transformation efforts. How do you assess this participation, and how far have we come in that particular file?
Yeah, and actually Egypt is starting to replace the fossil fuel and the old fashion of the energy by the new energy starting from 15 years ago. It is not the first time to do this. And actually maybe Maadi actually in south of north of Cairo. We are all over the world, the first country all over the world to start our first wind energy all over the world, and also we are among 10 countries all over the world starting to have solar panel. So Egypt is starting these modules in their scientific center in ARC and also in the housing center for building. We are starting to have new design of building nowadays. You can see this on the way from Alex to Cairo. We have good modules of architecture and the new building depending completely on green building standards, not traditional one. And actually, the scientific research applied by the ARC, the Agricultural Research Center, and DRC, the Desert Research Center, in coordination with the Scientific Academy. Also, they have good modules for what's called the green recovery. The green recovery is depending on the low emission impacts or low emissions of negative the six elements of increasing the greenhouse gas like the carbon, the sulfur, and the nitrogen, the hydrochlorofluorocarbon, the pyrofluorocarbon, and also the methane. The methane also, maybe we are looking at as just some agriculture waste. Nowadays, the Egyptian government is planning to have a new unit of generating power from using the biomass and the biogas from the agriculture waste, not to burn it, but actually to recycle it in an energy machine to produce clean energy, no emissions and no carbon dioxide, no sulfur dioxide, and all the six elements that increasing the greenhouse gases impact negatively on our cultivation areas that increase up to 10 million feddan of agriculture being producing nowadays more than their capability. In the wheat, for example, we have up to more than 10 and 12 as that to be bare feddan for the farmers. And actually nowadays our colleagues in El Fayoum and the Middle Egypt are selling the herbal and the medicinal plants, which is actually a main exports items to be sold outside for the market, open market out of Egypt. And this is actually a good green economical approaches to rely on herbal and medicinal plants as a new trend of income of agriculture, not only the traditional agriculture like the maize and sugarcane and so on.
Right. Dr. Allam, the Minister of Foreign Affairs also reviewed the Egyptian measures to completely transform the transportation sector to become more sustainable. Would you illustrate Egypt's efforts in that regard, please?
Egypt already signed a contract with a famous car production company, which will be in south of Helwan, instead of the old factory of Nasr factory for production of cars in Egypt. So if you can see nowadays also all over the desert from Cairo to Alexandria, you can notice in the oil stations another small tube on the wall of those oil stations all over the way from Cairo to Alexandria are ready to generate the electricity cars. And this is actually the first country all over the Africa to start this is Egypt. And nowadays the electricity cars is spreading to be used by the consumers in Egypt starting of 5 years ago. And there is a cooperation between Egypt and Emirates also. You can, any of the travelers all over the way can see those new energy sources as the third one. So they have the benzene and they have also the electric cars supply in the same oil station. And this is actually a very new approach to be applied in the Africa continent. And
right.
This is actually an advanced step that the Egyptian government started to transfer from traditional vehicles to electric cars, which is actually a real reduction of carbon dioxide, a real reduction of sulfur dioxide, because we are not using oil or petroleum or any of the
Right.
energy sources that may be pollution. So
Sure.
it's clean technology.
On that
Real
note,
clean technology.
Dr. Magdy Allam, you're an advisor to the Global Climate Program and Environment Facility. Would like to thank you, sir, talking to the Breakfast Show and for your valuable input.